Imagine a young republic, barely a generation old, suddenly offered an entire continent for the price of a few years' revenue. One signature, and the map of America changes forever. Welcome to History in Decades. I'm Jim Rand, your host. Today, we're walking through the years 1800 to 1810, a decade that tested whether this new nation could grow without losing its soul. The century opened with something almost unheard of. In 1800, Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr tied in the Electoral College. The House of Representatives took 36 ballots before settling on Jefferson. John Adams, the incumbent, simply left. No armies in the streets, no blood in the Capitol, just a hard-fought election and a quiet handover. That alone set the United States apart from almost every other nation on Earth. Jefferson came into office determined to keep the government small and the people free. He cut internal taxes, he reduced the army and navy. He believed ordinary citizens, left largely alone, would build a stronger country than any distant capital ever could. Yet within 2 years, he faced a decision that stretched every principle he held. Napoleon Bonaparte needed cash. His plans for a French empire in North America had collapsed after the disastrous campaign in Haiti. In 1803, he offered the United States the entire Louisiana territory, more than 800,000 square miles, for $15 million. Jefferson, the strict constructionist, had no clear constitutional authority to buy it. He bought it anyway. Overnight, the nation doubled in size. The Mississippi River and the port of New Orleans belonged to America. Farmers in the Ohio Valley could finally ship their goods without foreign interference. But land without knowledge is only a claim on a map. In 1804, Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark west with a small corps of discovery. They left St. Louis in May, traveled up the Missouri, crossed the Rockies with the help of Sacagawea and other native guides, and reached the Pacific in November 1805. They returned in 1806 with maps, journals, plant specimens, and the first detailed American knowledge of the continent's interior. Ordinary men, underfunded, often half-starved, had opened a door that would never close. While America looked west, Europe burned. Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804. The next year, he crushed the Austrians and Russians at Austerlitz. Britain's Admiral Nelson destroyed the French and Spanish fleets at Trafalgar, ending any serious threat of invasion. Napoleon answered with the Continental System, an attempt to starve Britain by closing European ports to its trade. The result was economic war that spilled onto American ships. British warships stopped American vessels and impressed sailors they claimed were British subjects. France seized ships that traded with Britain. Jefferson tried to answer with the Embargo Act of 1807, a total ban on American ships leaving port. The idea was to force the great powers to respect neutral rights by denying them American goods. Instead, it wrecked the New England economy. It fueled smuggling, and it proved almost impossible to enforce. Farmers and merchants paid the price for a policy that hurt the United States more than its enemies. In 1809, the embargo was repealed. James Madison took the oath of office that same year, inheriting the unresolved tension with Britain that would soon explode into the War of 1812. One quieter change also arrived in 1808. The Constitution had allowed the international slave trade to continue for 20 years. On January 1st of that year, the ban took effect. The legal importation of enslaved Africans ended. The internal trade, however, only grew as cotton expanded westward. The moral contradiction at the heart of the Republic remained unresolved. Through all of this, ordinary people kept building. Settlements pushed into Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Churches and schools appeared in new towns. Families who had crossed the mountains now raised children who had never known British rule. The daily work of self-reliance, clearing land, raising crops, forming local governments, continued even while presidents argued and emperors marched. The map was growing, but the pressures on the young republic were growing faster. Pause. Notable figures of the decade. Thomas Jefferson stands at the center. the president who doubled the country while trying to keep the government small. James Madison, his Secretary of State and successor, would soon face the test of war. Across the ocean, Napoleon Bonaparte reshaped Europe by force of will and arms, forcing every neutral nation to choose sides. Closer to home, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark proved that careful preparation and quiet courage could open a continent. Among the births of the decade, two stand out. On February 12, 1809, Abraham Lincoln was born in a Kentucky log cabin. That same day, across the Atlantic, Charles Darwin entered the world in Shrewsbury, England. One would preserve the Union. The other would transform how humanity understood life itself. Neither could have imagined the weight their names would one day carry. Closing reflection. The decade of 1800 to 1810 shows a young nation learning that growth and freedom are never free. The Louisiana Purchase gave Americans room to expand, but it also demanded new forms of responsibility. Lewis and Clark showed what determined ordinary people could accomplish when given a clear mission. The Embargo Act proved that good intentions without practical results can harm the very citizens they aim to protect. Through it all, the quiet work of families, churches, and local communities continued. They were the real foundation. Stability isn't given to us. It must be guarded by vigilant, self-reliant people who are committed to passing it on to the next generation. This has been History in Decades. I'm Jim Rand. See you in the next decade.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this podcast, I think you'll love another engaging series, The Odyssey, short and engaging retellings, a full vivid retelling of Homer's epic, one book at a time. Join us for dramatic storytelling, legendary adventures, and the ultimate tale of homecoming. The link is right there in the show notes. The Odyssey, short and engaging retellings. Go check it out.